here with orchestra conductor Michael Butterman today, and here with the Jacksonville Symphony Orchestra. Thanks, Maestro, for giving us some time.
My pleasure. Good to be with you.
Great. Maestro, can you tell us a little about your relationship with the Jacksonville Symphony Orchestra? Can we start there?
Sure, of course. I came here as the assistant conductor in 2000. I think it was Fabio Micchetti's maybe second year as music director. And then I was made the associate conductor the next year, and lived here for about, I guess it was 5 or 6 years. And then I left to become music director of the Shreveport Symphony and the Boulder Philharmonic in Colorado. And so I left my position here with the orchestra for 2, maybe 3 years. And then I got a call maybe at the end of that time, and Fabio said, we're just wondering, we have some availability here. Just wondering if you have some availability. We'd love to see you again. And so anyway, we talked about a way to kind of rekindle this relationship, and so they made me resident conductor about 4 years ago, I guess it was.
That sounds great. Do you still have your job there at the other orchestra?
So yes, I work with I'm music director of the Boulder Philharmonic and Shreveport Symphonies. I'm also principal conductor for education and outreach with the Rochester Philharmonic up in New York. So I stay on the road a lot. I'm busy, yes. Right.
Great. I'd like for our audience to get to know a little more about your background.
Sure.
Can you tell us some things about how you got into conducting? And I know.
Sure. Yeah. I always tell people I took the traditional route into conducting, which is that I majored in chemistry and then I went to law school. Right. So I started off as a pianist, and but I just knew I wasn't going to sort of set the world on fire as a concert pianist, and so I went to college and was going to be a physician, but I stayed active as a musician by accompanying the choirs. I was the accompanist, and so it was really through that I eventually had an opportunity to do some conducting. When I was about to graduate, the choir director was taking a sabbatical the next year, and I had the opportunity really to just basically be a sabbatical replacement for a whole year and conduct choruses and so on. I just found that it was eye-opening to me. It was a very it's collaborative, and as opposed to being a pianist, which is a little more solitary. And I just really took to the idea of communicating with people, not just on stage, but also in an audience. I loved that. I'll tell you, I eventually went to Indiana University to get some specialized training in conducting. And that's where I met our soloist, Angela. We were both students at IU at the same time. We did a Bernstein musical together called 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, which was a lot of fun. And I think everybody knew at that time she was destined for great things. And so this has been really nice to reconnect with her after quite a number of years now.
Great. You mentioned your music background as a pianist, and many conductors now are also composers. Are you in that vein of...
No, I'm really not. I wish that I were, I have to say. I mean, I have done just a little bit of arranging, but the composing that I've ever done has been on a very small scale, mostly way back assignments in theory or composition classes and so on. It's just I think it's just not perhaps my gift, and for me it's a great privilege to be able to see the work of these geniuses over the years and try to bring some life to that again.
What's your thoughts on the climate in the country today with classical music, with orchestras in general, in America?
Sure. Well, I think it's a challenging one to put it in a nutshell, and I think that's simply a couple things come to mind. One is that I do a lot of work with young people, especially up in Rochester, and what's challenging, especially now, is that we are surrounded by constant stimulation, not just children but adults as well. We multitask all the time, right? We're on our cell phones and checking emails and trying to take care of too many things, and I think some of us get out of the practice of frankly focusing on anything, whether it's sitting down and reading a book for a period of time or writing something. Just the idea of concentrating on one task for let's say, a half an hour.
Yeah.
Most of us are beginning to have some trouble doing that. And music, classical music especially, requires that of the listener. It doesn't sort of assault you with buzzers and whistles and so on. It requires you to kind of come to it. I believe once you get there, it gives you back tenfold what you give to it. So that's one challenge. I think the other is just that we are the music education in schools over the let's say last 40 or 50 years, for that matter, has seen a decline. I think it's to put it mildly, and that has certainly affected the familiarity of many of our audiences with the instruments of the orchestra and just with music in general. So we have a little bit of educating work to do, and that's why in a concert like this, I'd like to talk to the audience, explain what we're doing, to focus on while we play.
We're thankful to have some audio clips. Now, this is going to air after. So some of our audience will have heard the concert. Right. And then for others that did not get a chance to, we'll have some audio clips of, some of what you've done today. Sounds great, by the way.
Good. I'm glad you liked it.
And can you tell us anything about the music the audience can focus in on some of the music that was played here?
Are you focusing on the Maya Angelou piece?
Well, that would be a good one. Yeah. I was not really familiar with the composer or the piece until this time, and I found it to be spectacular.
I did too. Richard Danielpour is a living American composer. He's probably in his 50s, I would guess, at this point. And he wrote an opera called Margaret Garner a few years ago that Angela Brown sang in, and they got to strike up a friendship. And it was really through that acquaintance that this project to set these poems of Maya Angelou came to be. So I came across this piece because I know Angela, and I just sort of was checking out what she was doing. And I asked her manager to send me some clips. And once I heard these pieces, I fell in love with them. I think they are really expressive of the text. When a composer has a starting point like this poetry, he has to think about the poetry has a natural kind of rhythm to it. Words do, and you want to see are you going to reflect that in your music? And it also has a kind of a melodic line to it where the emphasis falls and what syllables and so on. That might be the way that you would shape the melodic line. So I would just say that Danielpour has a really good sense of language, and to me anyway, the words are set just beautifully. Yeah. And in these 7 pieces, none of them very long, we have this great variety. The second movement, which is life doesn't frighten me at all. Is young girl taking the world by its collar and saying I can I'm not afraid of ghosts or whatever. It has a really kind of defiance about it. The Come and Be My Baby is.
Well,
that was the fourth movement.
Well, that was the one that jumped out at me because I heard a lot of blues in that.
Definitely blues. It's got this kind of swinging kind of feel.
Da-da,
da-da.
Yeah, right.
And then there's
tonight.
Right.
What do you do now after you finish this engagement here in Jacksonville? Where are you off to?
I'm headed to Boulder. We're doing our season closing concert there with music of Sibelius and Debussy, as a matter of fact. So I'm doing the same Prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun there. And then back to Shreveport, which is where my house is, and also we're closing the season there. And then I'm going to Cleveland after that and Rochester. Anyway, it keeps going here through all the way through May.
Maestro, thanks a lot for your time.
My pleasure. Good to be with you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We've been speaking with Michael Butterman. He's the conductor here for today's concert with the Jacksonville Symphony Orchestra. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.